Just me this week. We got Wrestling Dontaku recaps. We got Resurgence Previews. We got Best of Super Juniors previews too. Who's showing up after 3 short years at Resurgence? We'll tell you in here. Who showed up at Taichi Mania? Let us know that he's alive and well. We're going to let you know there. I'm Jeremy Finestone, and this is Speaking of Strong Style. How's it going, everybody? I'm Jeremy Finestone, and this is Speaking of Strong Style. Stephen Conway is off on a romantic assignment in Japan right now, and so we are here live, just me, talking all of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the news, the reviews, the recaps, all of the important information. Scotty Wrestling is actually going to join us later on in the show to preview the Resurgence and Best of Super Juniors with his insights and such. Feel free to join me in the comments, ask me questions. I'm going to be rolling solo at least for a few minutes here. And, I've never really done this before. So we are going to have fun with that. And we are going to figure that out. But first, we had the Wrestling Dontaku shows this past week. A good pair of shows. I would say that these were probably B shows on the run-up to Dominion. We had really good matches, but nothing all-timer, if you will. The first night had the dog pound cage match, which I'm going to get into. And I'll tell you right now, I tremendously enjoyed that match. I thought it was a lot of fun and not nearly as violent or dangerous or even like hedonistic as the first one, even though we'll talk about the blood and all that stuff. Some of the things Steven doesn't really like and all that stuff. And then night 2 had a really strong back end of matches, but the undercard was so funny and silly that it was hard to take it all that seriously. I went ahead and we went through went and watched the matches again just to make sure I got all the context and everything. And the one thing that I can say is that Chris Charlton, he's only on like 25 or 30 shows a year, and he's great when he's on these shows. And Walker's there holding down the fort all the time. Shout out to Walker. He's fantastic. But when those two guys are together, man, it is a lot of fun. And so just wanted to say that tremendously brought up my enjoyment of the show. First match on the pre-show was Tetsuya Murashima defeated Daiki Nagai. Stephen and I talked about this last week and thought, a big show might be the opportunity for Nagai to step out of the spotlight because he has constantly been losing. No, he kept on losing, and he tapped out in the middle of the ring to a boxing crap. So pretty traditional Young Lions match, pretty traditional finish, all the things. Let's see. Jeremy over here. Takeshita's match was good. He can't have a match. He can't have a bad match. This is correct. Takeshita might actually be one of the 2 best wrestlers in the world right now. Him and Will Ospreay are neck and neck in my mind as just cannot be beat. Work rate, the amount of wrestling that they are doing from time to time, it is absolutely fantastic. All right, we started with the main card. Let's see here. We had Master Wato, we had Yo, we had Bolton Oleg, and we had Toriano, and they faced off against Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Yuga Uemura, Ryohei Oiwa, and Hartley Jackson there. Sometimes I get those 2 names mixed up, and, bad on me for that one. This was a fun match. There was a lot of chemistry between Master Wato and Yo as tag team champions, and Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles are really starting to get into full gear going into the Best of the Super Juniors. But really the gem of this match was the powerhousing between Bolton Oleg and Hartley Jackson, which pretty much led to the finish of the match. Bolton gave him a kamikaze slam, took him out, and it was a good match. Again, they're just kind of warming you up on this whole show, and before we really get into it, the first show, the Dontaku, had a deeper card, but I don't know how consequential the match felt compared to the back end of night 2. So we then got into a little bit of the LIJ goodbye saga that we were going to be having over these 2 nights. Because we are all aware Naito and Bushi are not long for New Japan. They're not long. They're going to still be wrestling stuff, just freelance and doing their own thing and no longer under contract for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we got Bushi, Naito, Hiromu Takahashi, and Yota Tsuji versus Yuga Uemura, Tomohiro Ishii, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. Before I get into too much of this, I didn't watch Taka Taichi Mania, which aired the other day, but I did watch the backstage comments and the Lethal Weapon kind of relationship between Tomohiro Ishii and Taichi in the way of Rince and Murtaugh, where they're both kind of too old for this and kind of the old dudes in New Japan. I'm totally here for this. And one of the shining things over the last couple of days that I've been seeing from New Japan Pro Wrestling. All right, so in this one, it's quick match. Looks like we had 9 minutes. Not much to it, really. Taichi ended up with a pin on Bushi. The reaction to the beginning and the end of the match for Naito and Bushi really just, there wasn't much to it because there didn't need to be anything to it. It was more just getting a little bit of face time with these guys, building up Yota and Yuya Uemura for the next night, which was a great match. But, they were saving a lot of that for the next night. So, worth checking out. The goodbye campaign of Naito is you really get to see how much these crowds loved him. And just to make sure everyone knew, and Steven would be upset if I didn't mention this, the show took place at Fukuoka Convention Center in Fukuoka, Japan, and the attendance was 2,903 people. You're welcome, Steven. Moving on, we had a preview match for the IWGP Championship title that was going to happen on night 2 of Dontaku, in which Bishamon and Ryusuke Taguchi took on Callum Newman, Jacob Austin Young, and Great O'Khan. Again, it was fun. It was fine. Yoshihashi got a pin on Jacob Austin Young. So, not much to it. Again, we were getting to the good stuff. And that would be next, as we got to El Phantasmo and Konosuke Takeshita, that went to a 15-minute time limit draw for the New Japan Television title, World Television Championship. This was my prediction from day one that this was going to happen. The 15 minutes just seemed tailor-made for this. Takeshita had 2 notable losses in the G1, one to Bolton Oleg and one to El Phantasmo. So he was due to get a win from this guy eventually, but it also felt like since El Phantasmo suddenly had to get this title on him, maybe they could run one more match in between and really juice up the crowd for the Resurgence show as well. Get kind of a 2-for-1 thing. So this match went to a time limit draw. This was everything that you love to see in an El Phantasmo match, accentuated by the fantastic skills of Konosuke Takeshita. We had count-outs at 19. We had a super kick finish. He tried to the missed time pin caused Phantasmo to miss out on getting it within the time limit draw. So there was a chance for him to close it out. The tension there going into the Resurgence match is very, very strong. I'm not really doing this match justice. I think if you know that there is a Takeshita match out there, you should go seek it out. This one will be on YouTube. All the New Japan World Television Championship matches are on YouTube. But unfortunately, if you want to see their rematch at Resurgence, you're going to have to pay $20 on New Japan World to catch that one. Jeremy Orr asked, did I agree with the draw? 100% I did. I did not need Takeshita to be a dual champion at this moment, because you could lose 2 titles if you got pinned in under 15 minutes, if the never openweight title were also on the line. And I don't think they want to do that. But him losing the never openweight title and the television title, but having both of those, but only losing one because the match went past 15 minutes seems kind of weird. I feel like they got a freebie match out of this, and the fact that they already had the match set up for Resurgence made me think that this television time match was always going to be a draw. And the way that it was pacing and going, totally saw it that way. I do agree with it. And I think that it was just a good bit of wrestling business. It was the middle of the show, you know. It did not have to be the be all end all match on this show. We had the dog pound cage match. This was just an ice cream topping on a very full Banana Sunday. All right, after that, we got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. A little bit of backstory on this one. This is the 14th match between the two people. This went 13 minutes with a Zack Sabre Jr. finish, which then led it to their all-time record going from 7-6 in Tanahashi's favor to being an all-time draw of 7-7 between the two in their all-time record. So I thought that was a nice bit of business. Sabre got Tanahashi off of the Zack driver. Tanahashi's been looking better than expected. I don't want to say he's looking great, but I think that Zack Sabre Jr. can get the right match out of him. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is eternally going to be one of the best opponents that Tanahashi ever had. And it's hard to say that there was any real question that Zack Sabre was going to win this based off of who Tanahashi was winning against and who was losing against. But it was just really nice to see those guys go at it one more time in the ring. I did get to see them wrestle once live at Madison Square Garden for that Ring of Honor New Japan Super Show, like 2018 or so. It was pretty good. I don't think this was as good as that, but this was better than I thought it could be. So I think we got that going for us. The next one we had was Shingo Takagi and Shota Umino. Man, if you had the weirdest build for this, you know, you had the invoking of Dragon's Gate 2009, you had Twitter wars, you had everything that they don't normally do in New Japan in order to juice you up for this match. And I want to say it kind of worked. Really physical match, really one where they beat the crap out of each other, and it kind of felt like this is where we're going with New Japan after this one is done. I believe Shota tried to hit the second coming, his scoop power slam, and then Takagi got him with the muscle buster. He got him with the lariat, and then the last of the dragon. And that last of the dragon took Shota so far out of the game. His mouth ended up just being bloodied from his nose coming down. He took that last of the dragon hard way, and it hurt. Takagi then, you know, kind of smack talked Takeshita at the side of the ring when he was doing commentary. And this is interesting, right? You got Shingo Takagi clearly positioned as one of the top guys in the promotion. You got Yota Tsuji also positioned as one of the top guys in the promotion, but they're both in the same faction. So we're going to see where it goes with him tomorrow. But this was a very strong declaration for Shingo Takagi, who I've kind of seen as almost a supporting character for other stories in New Japan. You know, he ended up losing to Shota Umino at the New Japan Cup to set up Shota's spot at Sakura Genesis for the title. He lost to Takeshita at Wrestle Kingdom to kind of set up Takeshita in the near future. So there's a lot of elements of Shingo being a guy to make other guys. And now I kind of think we're back into a position where we were in November, where it was Shingo and Shota and a couple other people kind of going after Zack Sabre Jr. for his title. And now we got Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo, and Shota back right to it here in May, because the depth at the top just isn't there yet with Yuya and Ryohei and a couple of the other guys. And so this is like your kind of quartet right now of top guys with, you know, we'll talk about the dog pound cage match, because there were things going on there that seemed to be taking all of those guys out of focus of the main event picture for a while. But this was a very strong declaration that Shingo is the future, immediate future of the world title scene. And I think he has been sitting as an assistant to everybody else for a long time, and it would be interesting to see what direction they take him if they're going to be positioning Yota Tsuji as one of the top baby faces of the promotion. All right. Next up, we got the Dog Pound Cage match. So we all remember the Dog Pound Cage match from last year, the Will Ospreay finale with United Empire and the War Dogs that led to Hinari getting his head split open and being gone for a significant amount of time, amongst other injuries to people in that match. People really got their butts handed to him in that one. I think Akira also didn't make it out of that one in one piece, but I think there might have been somebody else. Oh, yeah. It might have been Alex Coughlin's last match, if I remember correctly. So this was, what's the best way to put it? Measured. This was a measured cage match. Last year in that cage match, it went very, very long because of the staggered entrances. They did not do staggered entrances this year. This went a brisk 25, 30-minute match. They all started in the ring together. The House of Torture came out first. Sonata in his full regalia of Elvis Presley style honky tonk man, onesie rocker outfit with the guitar, and then the rest of House of Torture with the prolonged video entrance. Really good spectacle, really good entrance for them. And then the War Dogs came out all unified. They all climbed the ring in unison, ready to attack. And, you know, what we thought was going to be a blow-off match ended up just being a big old fight, because we were going to have a big old fight on this show. Nothing was concluded. They just beat the crap out of each other. The majority of the bleeding came from the War Dogs, except for Ren Narita at the very end, who, if I could have my way, would have been the slate of this show with his crimson mask that is almost iconic and should be a t-shirt. Seriously, if you have not seen Ren Narita's crimson mask from the end of the War Dogs match, it is something to see. There was a lot of callbacks to a lot of things. Basically, everybody got their matchups. Everybody got their fights. Everybody kind of did that. Court Connors and Kanemaru kind of teamed up and fought each other. It was Drilla Maloney and Sonata. You know, you had Evil and Finlay. You had Ren Narita and Gabe Kidd. So you kind of see where we're going. And then Taiji Ishimori and I think Yo or Sho. You know, so those two kind of did their own thing, and you know they were involved in the match. But Court Connors bladed, took some nasty shots with barbed wire, like chairs, I believe. No, it's a baseball bat and a kendo stick. That's what it was. Narita took a chair on Ishimori's skull. Connors took a whiskey breath, and then he gave a double gore to a bunch of people. And then, you know, he got Finlay got the gun stun, and then he gave an Oblivion to Evil. And one would think that would be the end of the match, but it was not. So after that, Goto jumps into the ring and tries to give Evil, tries to give Dick Togo, a splash off of the top of the cage onto the table, because House of Torture took him and smashed him over a table a couple weeks ago. He splats onto Togo. Table doesn't break. They go right to it. After that, you know, Finlay is getting beaten up by Evil in the corner. Maloney comes, helps him out, takes a guitar shot to Sonata. Sonata takes Maloney through a table, and then bloodied up Gabe Kidd in the end. Starts beating the holy hell out of Ren Narita. They take each other through barbed wire tables, just going wild. They eventually end up on the top corner of the ring, and they fight for a while. And then Gabe gives him his sit-down pile driver through the table for the pin, and then the match is over. And the announcers are having fun with this match. The audience is having fun with this match. it was not the bloodbath spectacle, even though there was a lot of blood. It was just the right amount for the action movie. You know, like everything just kind of worked right for the match that they wanted it to be. Afterwards, they continued the feud when Evil handcuffed Finlay to the cage and proceeded to beat him like a dog, which is ironic or not ironic because that sets up their next match. And this feud must continue. It's fine. It's cool. It keeps both of the guys out of the world title picture until the G1, which, frankly speaking, is the best of all outcomes because, you know, Claire Finlay is becoming a babyface. You don't want House of Torture in the world title picture. You know, if Goto can get through his challenges over the next couple weeks, it seems pretty clear that he'll be, you know, going through the G1 as the champion. And if he goes through the G1 as the champion, you know, it's really hard not to think that he's not going to go through the G1 and then to Wrestle Kingdom as the champion and then defending it there. You know, it's like there's no point in building up this guy so much in order to have another guy beat him, in order to have the next guy up beat him. Like, have him be the guy making the next young star in New Japan. I mean, that's ideally the thing. All right, let's see. Jeremy Orr, do you think Shota is on the Naito arc? I don't think so. When I look at him, I feel like there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, however you want to look at it, what day of the week it is. They're clearly giving him opportunities. You know, when he gets the opportunity at after the Cup, you know, he's got that in his belt. He bounces back from the humiliating losses with Great O'Khan with this big tournament. And then he loses. And then he loses again to Shingo. So it's like self-immolation almost. Like he's torturing himself. And he's not finding the success that he thinks he's earned or he deserves or he can't quite reach. There's a lot of open-endedness with Shota Umino right now in terms of what they're trying to tell us with his win-loss record. And they've made it clear he's not in the IWGP World Heavyweight title like landscape. He's not there. Like he's lost and he's got to bring himself back up to that. He's not the leader of any faction. He tried to stake his claim on a double or nothing on that one at Sakura Genesis. Didn't work out. So where do you go from there? You rebuild. If the foundation is weak, you got to tear it all down and rebuild it again. I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is that this dude is just finding out that his foundation is weak and he has got to rebuild yet again. I don't necessarily think that Naito had to constantly rebuild. You know what I mean? Like he left for Mexico 10 years ago this week almost. And then he came back and we had his arc where he won world title no more time, the Intercontinental title and the World Heavyweight title. So he had a great 10-year run on there. I think Shota is probably on a different track. I don't know if he's going to end up being, which would be ironic with Yoda being there, if he's going to end up being the counterculture guy. Like, I think they really want him to be a top babyface or a top heel. They don't see him as like an iconoclastic kind of wrestler, if that makes any sense. I think their plan is to get him firmly in the everyone loves Shota Umino, and how do we get people to that point? So that's kind of where I'm at on that. But if we go back to this, it just means that the landscape is clear, and I thought that this was not as legendary or epic as the first cage match that Warcraft had last year with the United Empire, but it was really, really good. And I can live with really, really good, given that everyone has relatively come out of it healthy. So, all right, let's get to night 2 here. Anybody got any feedback? Anybody got any thoughts? No? Okay. All right, so night 2. Night 2 had, I want to make sure I have the right faction or the right company. Kyushu. I am not 100% sure what the promotion was that was all over the undercard of this match. So we're gonna roll through that, and hopefully I, for some reason, missed that little piece of information. All right, so in the beginning, Tetsuya Murashima and Ryusuke Taguchi defeated Hitamaru Sasaki and Jet Way. It was fine. You know, Taguchi ended up winning the match. The Young Lion put up a good fight. The promotional wrestler from the other, Sasaki and Way, they were totally fine for the undercard match. They had a little bit of sass at the very end. Sasaki and Murashima bowed, but Way refused to shake Taguchi's hand after the match. So maybe we have something else after that. This next one was a little bit bizarre. We had Batten Blah Blah and Mentai Kid against Ishimori and Goto. And first things that you would notice outside of Batten Blah Blah and Mentai Kid is that Ishimori was beat to crap from the night before. Not working all that hard. They didn't have to. This was a bit of a match. Batten Blah Blah is apparently the protector of the Fukuoka region, which is why he is here and doing what he was doing. We also had the Mentai Kid, who last week of wrestling, he's retiring next week, everybody. I have not heard of him before. I'm happy that I got to see him in this match, but he very unwisely asked for a handshake or a, some type of declaration of acknowledgement from Taiji Ishimori and Goto, of all people, after this match, and they did not, in fact, endorse him in any way or congratulate him or show him any love whatsoever for this, and that was somewhat amusing. All right, next one we had. Basic undercard match, Yoshihashi and Master Wato versus Great Khan and Jacob Austin Young. Not much to it. Wato gave Jacob Austin Young for the German suplex. Yoshihashi looked decisive, given that, he has an opportunity here to rise up and look like someone other than just like a gatekeeper to the main event for people who want to face Wato. So I like that motivation of looking strong and looking ready to go. After that, we had, ironically, a Stardom match with Star Hazuki and Koguma and Maika against Azumi, Starlight Kid, and Yuzu Mizumori. I'm actually going to bring on my co-host here, and maybe he saw this match. If not, I'm going to ask him what he thinks happened in this match. Scott E. Wrestling, how are you doing?
I came at the buzzer, clearly. Perfect timing. It's like I timed that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Show on my own up to this point, recapping all of Wrestling Dontaku, and somehow, some way, my guest, who let me know that, due to circumstances that are totally justified, was going to be a little bit late, rolled right in on a Stardom match.
Yeah, my timing is impeccable, and I had no clue.
I know you didn't watch this show for the most part, so I'm going to recap the rest of it. But did you catch this match?
I did. I tried to squeeze it in before I record myself later on. Yeah, it was a good showcase for Stardom. I didn't think there was no problem with it. It was the Hazuki, Maika, and Koguma are all from Fukuoka, so it was really cool for them, I'm sure, to get to be in front of such a big crowd in their hometown. So that's always really cool. That's kind of why I saw the match was happening. I was like, that's justified reason enough for me. Give them the hometown showing. They get the win. Easy enough. And yeah, I mean, they should be wanting to showcase these wrestlers, especially with all that's happened in Stardom. So good for them. And yeah, Wrestling Dontaku as a whole, I saw the first night, and then I just could never get to the second one. But I still have opinions.
Thoughts about the first night? I mean, it was generally a fine show to me. It felt like a B show getting ready for Dominion,
Yeah. I'm very excited for Evil and David Finlay dog collar. I'm very excited for that.
It
Like
keeps
that
them,
was awesome.
It keeps them off the main event scene, but also like in a fun situation. And
Yes.
fine, great, let's do this.
I like the follow-up being just the two leaders ending it. Like I think that's a great way in an all-out war that I'm sure we'll have a bunch of run-ins, but it'll be fun. Like I am the person that likes Evil a lot, and I always have. So that's just my problem. I understand that. But I enjoy him and I enjoy David Finlay. So like I like the direction of that. I think having Gabe win obviously made a lot of sense with the follow-up to this and what the Dominion card looks like. I think the Dominion card is
Strong.
very exciting. Yes. Considering who they put into the world title match, I did not expect that. I am not against it whatsoever. I'm very happy because I was a little worried it would be Zach. So I'm happy that Zach is doing elsewhere because I think I'm on. I like Zach as a wrestler, but I think Zach fatigue has kicked in full force for me. So
yeah, he's been everywhere, doing everything.
Yeah. So every time he shows up, I'm like, hey man, like I get it.
I had a couple of thoughts that I'm gonna bounce off of you about that first night, and with Shingo kind of being put in the main event picture, and Shota, Shota's got that one step forward, two steps back kind of thing going on, where it's just over and over and over again. It's just getting kicked in the nuts with his booking. So that sucks for him. But at the same time, you go back to November, right? And we're going into Wrestle Kingdom, and you have Zack Sabre Jr. crowned, and you got Shota Umino, and you got Shingo Takagi, and I think there was somebody else kind of in there that was like, "Hey, don't forget about me. I'm in this world title picture." And now we're back to April and May, and you basically circling those same three guys around Hiroki Goto, meaning you haven't really done the growth around the rest of the roster just yet, and B, I don't necessarily see any of those guys as anything other than enhancements to the IWGP title. I'm really interested in the Shingo Takagi and Hiroki Goto match.
Of course. Yeah.
But I would be shocked if Shingo Takagi out of nowhere won this title here and now, given the momentum of the Hiroki Goto thing. Yeah. So I am super impressed that New Japan has been able to create matchups that get people interested. We got this Shingo match potentially coming, because I don't see the Zack Sabre Jr. Winning at Resurgence. I just don't.
Yeah, I hope not.
Right. The IWGP title should rarely change hands outside of Japan. I mean, they did it once last year. We don't do that every year. That's just
technically twice, right? Didn't they change it both times? That's how they got it back to Naito.
Did they do the second one in Japan or not?
Was it a Forbidden Door? Because I remember no one liked it.
It might have been Forbidden Door. Yeah,
because everyone liked the Windy City Riot one,
right?
But the second
one, the title change. We saw doing it. So
right. When people still like Jon Moxley.
Yeah. So it's fine.
Yeah. I do think it's a fascinating topic point as someone who just has a circle on my podcast later talking about the other Bushiroad company and kind of not having a very clear main event scene besides 3-4 people. It's very similar in that regard. And I think the conversation kind of presents itself of, okay, then who? Right? It feels like the people that you probably want in that world title picture are in the global title picture.
Yes.
Which is fascinating to me, which again, I understand that in terms of you're trying to establish that title and you're trying to establish the likes of Tsuji and so on. But at the same time, Goto could face these people. Goto could face Yuya Uemura in a title match and no one would bat an eye. Now he did face David Finlay, and that was great. And that was a direction I think many of us kind of, if you follow New Japan in any form, that made sense. But I'm with you. It's what direction is here? Because once Shingo's done, we've gone through those three guys again, right? Shota's done, Zach's done, Shingo's done. That's it. So who?
And then you're off to the G1.
Thankfully, yes. So someone will be going they'll get a title shot. Then whoever wins the G1.
But in my mind, like if he goes through the G1, like I doubt, like he's done 6 title defenses in 2 months. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like we were talking, and he had the Finlay one, which in my mind legitimizes his entire title reign. Like you go through a guy like Finlay with the way that he's been built. I don't care if his other matches were Tanahashi and Nagata and Callum Newman. I just don't. Right. It's like it's just one of those things that you get a world level threat that they built in David Finlay, and he beat his ass in that match.
Right.
Like that's all you had to do. And if people are like not on board with it, it's going to be like you haven't been watching like details of this reign because they've been they put when you're a world champion, you get the shield of coating and protection of booking, right?
Right.
But like he's gotten like 3 shields of protection of booking on this guy just to make sure everyone knows like when the guy does beat it, it's a big effing deal. And I don't know if you're putting that much effort into this guy, why would you put the belt off of another guy than to have them win it at Wrestle Kingdom?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is booking 101. Just if you threw the G1, the day after the G1, you have your Wrestle Kingdom main event, or at least a very clear idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think everyone's obviously like waiting for the Rewa guys, right? Like that's the conversation, never-ending conversation. Shota Umino has gotten all his opportunities, has struck out on a lot of them, I think, but Tsuji is obviously the guy that I know people are waiting for, but once I know the result of Wrestling Dontaku Night 2, I know all the results. Once he kept that belt, I said, interesting, because I think it's very clear he's now going to lose it with the big rematch coming up.
We've all finally figured out what the next plan and
right. So now it becomes interesting of, okay, that originally it was like, oh, whoever wins between Yuya and Tsuji, probably the other one wins the G1. That was my thought at one time. And then once Tsuji won, I was like, maybe not. And then once they set up this next match, I was like, all right, I don't know. All cards are back on the table. I think Tsuji is probably your favorite right now, based on the LIJ stuff. But
let me ask you this.
Yes.
If you had the choice of Yota Tsuji challenging Hiroki Goto for the IWGP title at Wrestle Kingdom, or being the guy to retire Hiroshi Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom, what do you do?
Oh, man. I think whoever...
I'm just talking Yoda. Yeah. What do you do with Yoda?
It's a great point, because it feels like two people are made that one night because of those two things. I think him and Goto makes more sense to me. Because again, to bring up Yu Uemura, talk about a guy that would make sense with Tanahashi. Though I think they might be doing that at Dominion. I don't know.
They teased it at Taka Taichi Mania.
So maybe the Wrestle Kingdom match is completely open to someone else that's not even available yet.
Could be
Mr. Nakamura. Just things to toss out there. This
is called manifesting things into the world that are currently unmanifestable.
Yes. Yeah. Until Tanahashi is retired, I am not ruling out Mr. Nakamura.
No. I mean, I still think Shibata and Tanahashi is happening at Forbidden Door, and there's kind of a circular moment with all the people that he wrestles at these big events.
Yeah.
And if they can get Nakamura, you get Nakamura. Absolutely.
Whether he's with WWE or not, it doesn't really matter to me. Do it if you can get it. But yeah, that's definitely the question. But I think Tsuji beating Goto makes a lot of sense at Wrestle Kingdom more than anything. Unless Konosuke Takeshita was a silent New Japan full time.
I was just about to say, the factor here is, what if Takeshita wins the G1 and he's the one to challenge Goto, and Tsuji is the one to retire Tanahashi?
Takeshita he feels so undeniable in New Japan, and I know a lot of people love
better. Like it's not even. I am starting to watch AEW and Takeshita, And I kind of think Tony knows. You know, like, I'm going to get enough out of this guy, but he's not. He's always with everybody else. He's always like group stuff. He's always kind of like the tag guy. You got Fletcher kind of front and center. There's things.
Yeah, it's very clear. Like, Takeshita's getting thrown to maybe number 2 in the family rather than number 1. And he's been number 1 the whole time, which is tough if you're the alpha and you're number 2. But I think it's partly, like you're kind of hinting at, is maybe New Japan becomes the priority for Mr. Takeshita moving forward.
I'm looking at this G1 with very curious eyes, and I am not ruling out Takeshita winning this G1.
If he's in it, I think he's at least a finalist.
Yes.
At least. And if he's not in it, I'm going to be very sad. So he better be in
it. I feel like New Japan has not asked for a whole lot, but it's made clear these are the big line item things that we need from you, and circled around that whole thing is like that. I mean,
he just feels right there. You know,
how do you get the hype machine at Forbidden Door other than having like an AEW guy right after the G1 winning the whole thing? Like, I'm not saying this is like an AEW homer, but there's a sense of like Takeshita has real momentum and real potential to be one of the biggest stars in the world, both in the States with knowledge and in Japan.
Yeah.
And I want everything for this dude.
I don't know if this is possible at all, but Takeshita being more of a New Japan guy is starting to feel more and more like a reality when I watch him there. Yeah, and I just think that works better. Like, yeah, he can still do AEW, but to me, it would be more switching the way it goes, right? Instead of dropping in for New Japan, he's dropping in for AEW. And
this is what I'm thinking.
And I think that's better. I think that's preferable. I think it's what I want. Sorry, AEW fans. You have enough wrestlers.
Like, okay. How much more special would
it can still be where the best wrestles, I promise.
How much more special would it be if Takeshita had the same amount of screen time as Okada, but you didn't know when he was going to be showing up necessarily because of all the time he's spending in New Japan?
Yeah. I mean, it would mean more too because we're assuming he's probably world champion.
Yeah. So this is what I would like. This is what I would see. We had to take our beginning thoughts about the state of New Japan and pluck it right in the middle of this show before we get back to. Ooh, my timing is impeccable on this. Bolton Oleg and El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita and Rocky Romero from night 2 of Wrestling Dontaku. You know what's interesting about El Phantasmo and Bolton Oleg as a tag team in this match, Scott? These were the only 2 guys, I believe, or 2 of the 3 guys to beat Takeshita in the G1 last year.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was a nice little cute little Easter egg of guys that Takeshita constantly just wants to get his hands on. Both because he likes him. He really does like working with Bolton Oleg, you can tell.
I also like him working with Bolton Oleg.
And yeah, it was a fun match. Probably just a great palate cleanser. You know, I'm not saying it was like a party match like an AEW Dynamite, but it was the closest thing to a party match you were going to get on this show because just the style of Takeshita and Bolton Oleg and the style of Takeshita and El Phantasmo, and frankly, the style of Rocky Romero and all of that as well, just makes for a fun dynamic where, you know, things are moving fast, things are hard hitting, and these guys are doing their thing. Bolton beat the hell out of Romero with the kamikaze at the win, and there was that.
Good. Give Bolton Oleg wins.
Good Bolton Oleg.
That is one hell of a picture for Tsuji.
We had, Bebop tag team of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toru Yano, Ryota Chikuzen, Tajiri, and Yo against Hartley Jackson, Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Ryohei Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. This match ruled.
Really?
Yes.
That's
so
crazy.
It went 10 minutes, and it was the easiest match in the world, Scott. So it started with Tajiri and Zack Sabre Jr., and they went 3 minutes in an exhibition of chain wrestling that was absolutely delightful. It was one of those. You might actually understand this reference. I hope some of the viewers do. There's a story in the book Lone Wolf and Cub where two Bushido Ronin meet at a bridge, and they have to go through to each other to pass. Neither's going to cede ground. And they both draw their katana just a little bit, and they take a measure of each other, and they realize they're equally matched. And then they put their katana down, and then they go their separate ways.
So it's
and that was this match. They went in, they chain wrestled with each other. Charlton and Walker are just like going nuts over how fun this is. Like Tajiri's just doing his gimmicks, just butter through Zack Sabre Jr.'s counters. Zack Sabre Jr.'s kind of not sure what this guy is capable of. They go about 3 minutes and then they tag out. And so everyone does their, back and forth, their tag here. And then Hiroshi Tanahashi, for the last 5 minutes of this match, does a little bit of work with Zack Sabre Jr. at the beginning. And then he proceeds to just get his ass kicked for 4 minutes by the entirety of TMDK, where they're just doing splashes in the corner and all these things, until Tajiri managed to turn the tides, get Zack Sabre Jr. distracted, run out of the ring, and then all chaos happened. Hartley Jackson had Tanahashi up on his shoulders. Tajiri gives him the green mist. Tanahashi then gets the high fly flow.
Good.
Perfect.
That's fun.
It was absolutely perfect.
That's fun.
You have your fun match, and it wasn't a party match because it's like it was very simple. It was one of the just like nobody was working too hard. It was all just stage and
ride the vibes.
Just ride the vibes. Riding the vibes a little bit more. We had the last match of Naito as a member of the
and Bushi
roster. And Bushi. I was getting there. Bushi also had his final match here. This wasn't the end of their finale tonight. They milked this for all it was worth, Scott. Hiromu and Shingo, the four of them faced off against Shota Umino, Tomohiro Ishii, Taichi, and Takumi Shinoku. Let me remind everyone again how much I love the energy of Riggs and Murtaugh, Taichi, and Tomohiro Ishii as a tag team together. These two guys are too old for this crap, and I am here for it at all times. So LIJ got the win in this match. Takumi Shinoku took the honors in Naito's last match as Shingo Takagi gave him the last of the dragon. This was all about the entrance, and it was all about the exit. In all honesty, it was the crowd just cheering. They're giving the feels. Naito getting his special moment. A little bit of tears. You got the photo opportunity at the end of the ring with the oldest members of LIJ before they get to the next match. And, they kind of made sure they hit all the bullet points on the way out on this one. And I think they did a pretty fantastic job.
It's really emotional to just think about the fact that it is now over.
19 years?
19 years, just, the most popular wrestler in Japan.
So I got a note I read right before the show started talking about his upcoming eye surgery. He's getting the eye surgery again. This is his
fourth, I think.
Fourth one on his right eye.
Yes.
So he had 3 on his right eye and 1 on his left eye. You couldn't get any more on his right eye. Apparently, he's getting another one on his right eye.
Oh, good.
I've said it before and I said it again. When this guy's done, he's not going to be able to have a retirement match. He's just going to be done.
He's also having stem cell surgery for his knees.
On his knees.
Now that's exciting because those stem cells.
Naito back?
That'd be crazy. Imagine, stem cells is a big deal, obviously. So if that gives any work to his knees that make them move, good for him.
I don't know what's possible with stem cells, honestly, but if we see an improved Naito, that's like a brochure video. We had this guy, and now look at him.
No. He's, wrestling less matches, but he's going out there with whoever and put it on one that you're like, good job. Like, that was pretty good. I'm happy you're able to do that after all these years. So
Yeah.
it's good I'm happy that he's taking time away first, take care of himself.
He's had to take time away. He's taken at least a month off every 6 months for the last year and a half. Like, if you think about it, like, he took a month off last year to do the eye surgery, and then, like, he took a month off before Wrestle Kingdom when he faced, like, the year before.
And mind you, him taking a month off is still 137 matches last year.
Guys, how many of them had the T-shirt on them?
Oh, plenty, but still, he has to move.
That's a massive amount of matches. I'm just wondering how many of them were, I don't want to use their star rating, but like a 3-star match better.
Right. Sure. Yeah, I'm sure not a lot of them, but
maybe less is more, and the quality could have.
He's already at 51 this year.
That's disgusting.
Most wrestlers that are like in their prime right now aren't wrestling 51 matches at all.
Has he done 5 or 10 singles matches this year? I know he had a couple in the New Japan Cup.
Oh, a great question. He has wrestled singles matches. I know not a lot. 1, 2. That's it.
The 2 New Japan Cup matches.
Yes. Yep. That was just in. Yeah, that's it. So
the road will own you, kids. Just be careful.
I'm just happy for him, and obviously he got to.
He's leaving on his own terms. You know what?
Yes.
Great. Yes. I don't think we've seen the last of Naito. I think it's entirely possible he could be the last opponent for Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I think it'd be crazy to rule him out. Like, after the stem cell surgery, if he's just like, I'll come back. Like, that would shock me.
The leverage that Naito has to get paid more on a per appearance deal rather than like a contract.
Especially now that he'll be gone.
Right. He comes back, they're going to have to pay him a little bit more. It's like whatever he was getting paid per month, now you're going to pay him that for a match. You know what I mean? Like, some people didn't really think about how they were going to play this out. And Naito still got value. I think, if the over-under, 5 matches for New Japan this year. No, 3 matches for New Japan this year. Or through Wrestle Kingdom. You take the over or the under. Any type of match.
Ooh, any type of match, that does change things because he could toss that T-shirt on at any moment. I'm actually gonna go under. I think next year he'll be back in the New Japan ring, not this year.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and when Tanahashi's gone, he's gonna have a lot more value if he can go at all.
Yeah, if he can move, essentially, like that'll be enough. But hey, that's why they got these 2 guys.
That's why they got these 2 guys. Yuya Uemura and Yota Tsuji. What is turning into a generational rivalry that will continue unabated for the years to come. This was a fantastic title defense by Yota Tsuji. Yuya Uemura came out strong, trying to attack Tsuji's arm and shoulder through the entirety of the match because of his finish as the deadbolt suplex. They are hard-hitting and going at it with each other while clearly respecting each other as 2 of the top guys in the promotion. The story of the match was Yuya Uemura believing that if he got the deadbolt suplex on this guy, he was going to win the match. He got a German on him. He got a dragon. He kept trying for the deadbolt. Kept trying. Hit the deadbolt, but couldn't make the pin. Yuya Uemura jumped to the rolled to the other side of the ring as Yota Tsuji was getting up. He speared Yuya with the last bit of strength and got the pin. And Yuya, dejected, left the ring. Yota standing in the middle of the ring with his 2 guys, Hiromu and Shingo. And then we get one more goodbye with Naito and Bushi. They come back out. They all stand in the ring. They do the fist bump. They do a couple little speeches. And then just like that, Naito rolls out of the ring, goes out the exit stage, stops once, does the fist bump. They walk straight to the back. Nothing more. Bushi follows behind. Audience gives him one last little clap too. On the back of his mask, it says a little adios right behind the New Japan embroidery. And he walks to the stage. The crowd gives their applause one more time. Shingo's like, give it up for those guys. Come on, let's do it. And then all of a sudden, Yoda's talked about his next challenger. And who do we have come out? But one Gabe Kidd, who reminds Yoda he didn't pin him back at New Beginnings in Osaka. They have business left. And, Yoda Tsuji, I believe, did call him out as well. So these two know that they have unfinished business. And frankly, Scott, you hint at it before, but if Yoda Tsuji is in the world title picture for the Wrestle Kingdom and the G1, he needs to have this belt off of him. And I think Gabe Kidd might be the guy to have the belt put onto him.
Yep. I'd be shocked if Gabe Kidd loses at Dominion, quite frankly. Feels like running that back at the biggest show, the second biggest show of the year. Feels very planned, especially after the Kenny match for Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Makes all the sense in the world, right? Like this is their guy. I mean, they're both their guys, obviously, but this is the belt that is supposed to elevate him, right? That's what this belt's now being used for. It's back. It's the Intercontinental title without being the Intercontinental title. It looks as close as that belt can be without being in existence. Of course, the Intercontinental is a beautiful belt, more beautiful belt, but you get my point. It's the same presentation, and I think ultimately it wouldn't shock me either to see Gabe Kidd defend that belt at Forbidden Door.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think that's obviously something to keep in mind as well. He could defend it against whatever random AEW wrestler you want to pick. I'm sure
the familiarity of the AEW audience with Gabe Kidd versus Yoda Tsuji, I feel is night and day. And I don't think that that's like a racist thing to say. I just think people are more aware of American wrestlers with American promos that catch on social media.
Gabe's been there a few times too.
Yeah, he's been there. He hasn't had that positioning. They put him in a Ring of Honor match or they'll put him in a collision or something like that. He's not one of their stars. They're not investing in him like Kevin Knight or whatever, but I do think
he had the match with Kenny. So
he did.
Certainly.
But that I'm not even sure the video package that they did after that was even appropriate. Given what I mean? Like it was a swing and a miss with because they wanted to advertise Kenny in a different way on their own.
Yeah.
I do think that Gabe Kidd is a better option to represent the global title at Forbidden Door than Yoda Tsuji.
Yeah. I think so. I think also AEW fans are more likely to go and find the Kenny Omega return match rather than say a WWE fan is to go find the AJ Styles Pro Wrestling Noah match, for example.
That's true.
Right? So like I think that will benefit Gabe as well. Enough eyes, right? So when the presentation's there, when the idea is there, it will make sense, right? When that opportunity comes around, I got to get pumped up for this. When that opportunity comes around, it's gonna make sense. And you put him against, I don't know, I really couldn't tell you who makes sense. He calls out everyone. Yeah, why not? Sure. Is he hurt?
He hurt his hand or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Or his foot. It's like a quick recovery. Juice is coming back. Jay White will be back soon.
Yeah,
Bang Bang Gang Bullet Club feud could totally happen if,
Or if he's back by then, Eddie Kingston.
That's the match you do.
Like there's enough history there for that to be.
I think you called it on that one. I think that's the match you do. Gabe Kidd versus Eddie Kingston at Forbidden Door.
There you go.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, Tony Khan. I just booked you a match.
Yeah, I hear Gabe Kidd or I hear Eddie Kingston to do back around the end of this month, beginning of next month.
Well, there you go.
That was the word that I was told back in January, and that he was trying to get back earlier, and the doctors were like, "Fuck no, dude, you are not coming back any earlier."
Your leg got destroyed.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no. Well, that makes sense then. That's the match. You're welcome, everybody. I figured it out.
Shout out to Fernando Guy. Hello, Fernando. Jeremy Orr. I would really like Yuya to be a mega babyface. They are getting there. They're not really revving on the gas on that one. Slow and steady wins the race. I kind of thought that maybe that they would really go overdrive if they missed time.
They love slow and steady wins the race.
I just thought, they missed all this time with the G1, the post like G1 stuff with his elbow.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Just have him like burst out the gate, blow everyone away. No, they're not doing that. And that's fine. But I did want that.
I did too. The G1 maybe will be the speed up form.
Yeah. We had one more match on this show. We had Hiroki Goto and Callum Newman, and we kind of talked about the Hiroki Goto reign up to this point that pretty much solidified up to this point with that David Finlay win that he had a month ago. And so here we have with Callum Newman, and if you've been living under a rock or unaware, Callum Newman wasn't originally supposed to be the IWGP title challenger. It was supposed to be Jeff Cobb, and then there's a lot of stuff on social media between former members of the United Empire and current members of the United Empire, and the whole thing. And well, anyways, now we have Callum Newman as the IWGP title challenger, and this match was good. Like no one, and I mean no one, thought Callum Newman was winning this match. Like. It just
would have been bad if he did, I'd argue.
Everything about it was just like, no. But what this guy could do was prove that he belonged at the dance. And I think that he did that. He's young. He's got an opportunity. He's proved that he will have chances in the future at a top level. Kevin Knight-ish, very similar like opportunities I feel like he could have. Will Ospreay, he's going to have to keep working to get to that point, but he is someone that it looks like the company could have a lot of faith in, could build around, and this was certainly a fine outing from him. There was a dynamic in this match where Hiroki Goto just took this kid to school. It's like, I'm going to show you how this is done and how this goes. And Callum Newman had the impetuous, you are not going to break me. You are not going to destroy me. At one point, he put his hands behind his back and he dared Goto to give him his best shot over and over and over again, knocking him down. And then he would rise back up and he would take another shot. So there was a lot of that strong style, young lion, I belong here energy, because there was no way you were going to get anyone to believe that this guy, in more than a few instances of a near fall, was going to win this match. You had to build to that credibility within the match. You had to show that he had the fire. You had to show that he wasn't going to give up. He pulled off a Rainmaker on Goto. He gave him an Oz Cutter. There were a lot of callbacks to people in Goto's past, Callum Newman's past, but really what it came down to is Goto gave him a Rainmaker, and then at that point, it was academic. He gave him a Shoten Kai, wasn't quite enough, and then after 2 GTRs, Callum Newman laid his shoulders down for a 1, 2, 3. Perfectly fine. Perfectly. Nothing wrong with it. If you were thinking, 4-star match, cool, yeah. Is it a legendary IWGP World Title match? No. Was it ever really designed to be? I don't think so. I think this was exactly what it was designed to be. The finale of 2 very good B shows on the road to one of the biggest shows of their year.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Dontaku feels more like a roadblock than it does not the WWE one, just a roadblock overall rather than a stopping point. Does that make sense? Like,
I don't want to call it inconsequential.
No.
Nothing really happened on this show.
When I like to say, when they make a show 2 nights, it's not going to be as important. We're just going to spread a bunch of stuff out instead of put it all in one night, make it super like Sakura Genesis. So
I would argue that they made it over 3 nights with his and Nokuni as well.
Very, very true. Very true. If you had put that all into one night,
you put those are 2 nights or one blow away one night.
Right. If you have Templario and Desperado on one of these nights, it's a different show we're talking about. So yeah, I think the thing with them is it's Best of Super Junior's time. This is when the juniors take over and really excite people in New
Mhm.
Japan, and then it leads right into Dominion. It's a very good time for them because I think Best of the Super Juniors quietly gets people very excited for New Japan. And when I say quietly, I don't mean like, oh, people don't talk about it, but compared to the G1, I think the Best of the Super Juniors is one of those things where in the lead up, not as many people are hyped and openly hyped about it unless you're a New Japan follower. And then when it's happening and people are like, oh my God, this match at Cork and Hall was incredible. Like, you got to see it. It's like, okay, this is where New Japan's being New Japan at its best, right? It's allowing these tournament matches to be the breakout ones. It's allowing Hiromu Takahashi versus Kosei Fujita to be like, oh shit, here we go, you know? And that's the beauty of the Best of Super Juniors, is that it kicks off round robin season overall in Japan. And that's very exciting. So I'm very excited for that. Obviously, there's another New Japan event before that to talk about. But yeah, I think Dontaku kind of just got the job done, right? I mean, the thing is, like, if it wasn't Callum Newman, it was going to be Jeff Cobb. And either way, it was like, it's just a feather in the cap for Goto at the end of the day.
It was a title defense, and it was a good title defense. But there was never a world where anyone truly felt like this was best for business that Hiroki Goto lose this match for any reason.
No, it would have been really bad if that happened.
There was a Taka and Taichi Mania number 4 that they had at Cork and Hall, and totally fine match, totally fine show. I did not watch it, but there were a couple of interesting notes from the backstage segments that I tried to make sure that I hit up, and that was Hiroshi Tanahashi being eternally grateful for being able to participate on this show and make it clear that he's loving wrestling so much that give him a call. He'll wrestle on your show if he's free. Seriously, this is his last year. I cannot stress this enough. If you want me on your show, I will be there. And it was kind of shoot-ish, where he was just crying and really enjoying himself. And the big surprise at the end of the show, Scott, was just 3 guys are celebrating in the middle of the ring. And this is where I really got the love that Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii had with each other. Taichi called him from the back, and Ishii's like, what do you want from me? What? Hey, what's... And then he's come out, I just want to tell you how much I like you. You know, like, sorry we didn't win the tag title. Sorry we didn't win this match the other day, but, you know, it's like, against Jun Akiyama and Zack Sabre Jr., but I'll tell you what, we're going to win those tag titles. And it was fun energy. And then he walked away and said, you know, we're just 3 guys, but wouldn't it be cool if we had just 4 guys? Maybe we could get that last guy out here. And, you know, they call out Doki, and they're like, I don't know if he's like here. Don't know if he's ready to come out. We just don't know. And then, you know, kind of quiet, and they do another Doki chant, and then he comes out, and then they have the translation for the backstage comment. First thing the announcer says, like, he has his makeup on. He knew this was going to happen the entire time. And I was just like, oh God, do you ruin the illusion, or do you just lean into the absurdity of it at all? And I think you just kind of lean into the absurdity of Doki. Full makeup coming out at the end of Taka Taichi Mania and doing the whole thing. Hello, El Juggalo. Thank you for stopping on in, my friend. So we had them, and he's basically saying, I'm not quite ready to return, but I am coming back. And it was just really nice to see Doki. He looked healthy. He looked just like he's waiting for that last clearance. No brace on his arm, no nothing. Happiest thing I saw all day.
Yeah, it feels like one of those returns that will happen right after the tournament, where obviously it's like, yeah, well, let's keep you out of the grueling 1-month tournament, and then you can come back, which makes all the sense. That is the one thing, like, when I looked at the lineup for Best Super Juniors, like, oh man, I miss Doki.
I was kind of hoping he'd be on the roster, but I figured it was like, yeah.
Seems a little too soon for him, but that's okay.
Hold on. Regarding Thursday, why do so many promotions prefer to air their weekly shows on this day? Are you talking about like actual wrestling promotions, or are you talking about our show? You get back to me on that one, and then I'll answer you. All right. We have the Resurgence pay-per-view that is airing tomorrow night. It's a Friday night, Scott. It's airing pretty late your time. I don't know what your life is like. Are you going to be able to check out the show?
Live? I have no idea what time it starts.
I think it starts 10 o'clock your time.
Oh, that's a time. Yeah, it's one of the I'll definitely be able to watch the meaningful matches.
Yes. This is
including the biggest return in pro wrestling, by the way.
Whose return?
The biggest return in pro wrestling.
Oh, we'll get there.
Bright Lights is back, baby.
CJ Tino versus Alan Breeze for the Strong Survivor match. This is a vacant status. CJ Tino lost last time, I believe. And so Alan Breeze is going for it. They're going to do it. I don't really care for these matches.
I was like, you are hyping this up way more than I think.
But I figured since it's a New Japan show, I should at least have some context as to what's going on. Otherwise, why do we have a New Japan show?
It's a pre-show.
It's a pre-show. What could have been the pre-show match, not to throw any shade whatsoever, is the former Strong Survivor challenger who was on the pre-show, Matt Vandegrift, challenging Fred Rosser after he abandoned Fred Rosser after volunteering to be his tag partner against West Coast Wrecking Crew, after Rosser and Lawler decided to part ways because they had different things going on. This is a journey that very few people are aware of. I think less people are invested in, but I will have a recap, and I hope that I have positive things to say about it next week.
Fred Rosser's career has been fascinating. That's all I'll say.
He is passionate about pro wrestling, and I'm never going to say a bad word about him because this dude is freaking grinding in the LA dojo of New Japan.
I know. I was going to say, I wish the poor guy got to wrestle more. He just wrestles like once every few months, it feels like.
Every time I see him, I kind of see John Cena in his facial features, and it's always freaked me out.
That's good.
All right. Oh, man. World-class Wrecking Crew versus El Templario and TJP.
TJP, he's allowed around these parts.
I was half expecting him to be taken off of this show. It did not happen. If you are wanting to Google
he's
why
doing
we are
fantastic
dancing around TJP, if TJP said things that I don't want to endorse, nor do I really want to go into about another wrestler.
He's going to be on the Fantastica Mania Mexico show.
Wow. I'm really glad that he's able to get bookings. I hear that all he wants
as part of United Empire.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm very glad he's able to feed his family because he said that was a huge concern of his. So
I can't. It's him, Templario, and Kira. That's the other one. There you go. It's those three versus Shingo.
Was that match announced after this whole deal?
Oh, it was announced literally last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for him.
Should be a good one. It should be a good one in Arena Mexico.
I don't know what to say other than I can't wait to see what happens.
That's fair.
Can't wait to see what happens.
I'm excited for Kira and Arena Mexico. That would be cool.
I think that guy deserves all the opportunities in the world, and he's probably going to be one of the top junior heavyweights in the world in the next 3 years.
Let's just say this: if TJP was going to be, a push junior wrestler, I hope Akira gets all his push instead.
My big laugh about last week's show was watching Templario and United Empire quietly doing all the TJP roles while TJP was raging against another member of the Empire, in which his role was completely dissimilar to. And I just thought, it's like, you got your sights on the wrong target there, buddy.
Oh god!
All right, we got Bullet Club Previous.
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Bullet Club Previous versus the War Dogs of today. And no,
Screw
I did
the
not
Young
update
Bucks.
the
Who cares
graphic.
about that?
I intentionally did not update this graphic, even though it had 20 plus hours to really see this one through. And we got Gabe Kidd, we got David Finlay, we got Clark Connors, and we got Goto versus Nick and Matt
crazy.
Jackson, the Young Bucks. And Scotty Wrestling, do you want to do the honors on the reveal of this return?
Yeah. The bright lights are on, baby. The lights are back on. The money's being paid once again. Machine Gun Carl Anderson's back, and Doc Gallows. But most importantly, the G1 finalist from 2012, the former never openweight champion.
After 3 short years?
After 3 short years. After another record-breaking deal in WWE where he did not have to do much. Machine Gun Carl Anderson is back. And I couldn't be happier because, wow, what a career this guy has had, man. An incredible career.
It's good to be friends with Rocky Romero.
It sure is. And the fact that he is getting Bushiroad to pay him some checks once again, shouts out to my guy. Machine Gun is back. I don't care about anyone else in this. It's all about him.
I'm glad.
Can't wait till he does that.
I'm glad for your joy.
Thank you.
I was thinking
he's gonna pin Gato.
I was thinking about this today, and I don't want to say he held the never openweight title hostage, but there are a lot of people with a narrative about that whole scenario that are much kinder in their assessment of him than I'm ever going to be. About how you do business and all these things. And I think if there comes a point where we're having a conversation about this dude taking a deal elsewhere for some other reason because it was better, and New Japan has not learned their lesson, I don't know what to tell you.
I just think the best part is literally day 2 that he's available. He's back.
Okay, let me ask you this. You mentioned 2012, right?
Oh, I love to because he does. That's the only thing he ever brings up.
Name me one good match that you remember of his in the last 5 years.
Oh, easy. Give me 1 second so I can look it up.
No. You take cage match. You shut your cage match
in
down.
The past 5 years, has he been in WWE the entire time?
No, he was in New Japan until 2020.
I didn't dislike the Tamatonga one.
They were all right.
Those are bright lights.
I give more credit to Tamatonga than I do Carl Anderson.
No. I don't give no. I always give credit to the bright lights. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
They were in that match where Dark Order and Hangman were a thing. Remember that?
I hated that match. It was the Space Jam match.
No, that wasn't the Space Jam match. That's a different one.
Are you talking about the Ghostbusters match or the Space Jam match?
I'm talking about the Fight for the Fallen one that has got 4.5 from Dave.
What date?
Give me a date. Okay, it was July 28th, 2021.
Okay, the first year of AEW. All right.
It was Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks versus Hangman Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Stu Grayson.
And what was the stipulation of the match?
Elimination.
Yeah, that was the match that Hangman everyone wanted to win. It was the elimination match, and they were in the Space Jam outfits, and then the Dark Order came out, and Hangman
had that sick entrance.
Yeah, Hangman had the sick entrance, and then it ended up being like a 1-on-5 scenario where Hangman was like all on his own because the rest of the Dark Order got their asses kicked, and then he lost, and then Kenny Omega ended up having a match against Christian at the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, that was interesting booking.
I'm glad that was the one that you drew up to talk about what great things come when you give a good brother a good match. You had to scour for that, my friend.
Oh, sure did.
You had to trawl the depths of the Panama Canal to find that match.
The other one that I had was a trios match with Kenny, but I couldn't tell you who they faced.
That's fine. Whatever.
Oh,
whatever.
I found it. I googled it. They faced Penta, Phoenix, and Laredo Kid.
Okay.
How about that?
Probably a fun match.
It sounds fun. Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
If Kenny Omega's not in that match is not nearly as good though.
Oh, for sure. But Machine Gun's back, and he's gonna pin Gato.
Magical.
I will say this. I think it's pretty. I don't want to say dumb. That's definitely the word that comes to mind of the Bullet Club War Dogs winning this big cage match and then losing a week later to the Young Bucks.
Hey, it's not on the line, right?
That's true, but it is the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers.
I would love to see Gabe Kidd pin Gallows and just be like,
that's fine.
I'd be totally fine with that.
I think Carl Anderson's probably the most protected on his side somehow.
He might be, but there's only one guy in a title match, and then there's another guy in a dog pound cage match. So either you do something to forward David Finlay getting tied up in some way, or you have Gabe Kidd beat the ass of whoever's on the other side to make him look even stronger than ever.
My result, it's just Gato. He's just there to get pinned.
Did you catch that part in the dog pound cage match where Geto, to get revenge of getting put through the table, jumped off the top of the cage, and then no, he didn't injure himself. He just didn't make it through the table.
It looked tough. It looked tough.
It looked like, oh man, yeah. Like he went on top of Togo. They both kind of collapsed, and then the table just kind of fell towards the ring post at the corner that it was at. I was just like, well, we paid that off. But he was wrestling the next night. He was Gato wrestling, but
here's my question for you.
You fine?
This is my question for you. Do the Good Brothers wrestle a match in Japan this year?
Yes.
Oh my god,
bro! I think they might even be in the G1 at this point if they're that cheap.
I don't think cheaper. I don't think Doc Gallows in the G1 would probably not go very well.
They just lost a bunch of dudes.
That's true.
Like Naito's not in it anymore. Jeff Cobb's gone.
That's a good point. Maybe the Good Brothers are the replacement.
I don't mean to be weird about it, but how are you going to get the Good Brothers and the title match and put the titles on them after the G1 other than them getting pinned on the current tag champion of New Japan in the middle of the G1?
Oh, here we go. Machine Gun's back. That's all I'm saying. That's all I gotta say.
These guys, fountains of opportunity for themselves. They find a way.
They're the best workers.
How do we end up going 10 minutes on these guys? God damn it.
Thank you. You're welcome. I have accomplished my goal. That's why I'm here.
This match is going to take all the taste out of everyone's mouth from that last match. If it's good or bad, because we have Tomohiro Ishii versus Drilla Maloney in the first title defense. Tomohiro Ishii, after going an extended 30-minute Iron Man match with Gabe Kidd to win the Strong Openweight Championship. These two have had 2 dances this year so far. The first one was at New Beginning in Osaka, which, catapulted Drilla Maloney to a heavyweight status when he beat Tomohiro Ishii. And then Tomohiro Ishii then, felled him at the New Japan Cup in order to advance in his side of the cup. Now we have one more match, and frankly speaking, with the belt being on Tomohiro Ishii, I am a 60-40 that he retained on his first title defense, but if he doesn't retain, I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
So I never watched the 30-plus minute match because I watched the first one, and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
It was exactly the same match with a different finish.
Yeah, I figured, and when I learned that he had the belt, which is when I saw the graphic for this match, I said, "Oh, he won! That's crazy."
Yeah, they couldn't have Gabe holding the global title if he's holding the strong title. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I think Drilla wins.
It's possible.
I mean,
I was thinking too. Ishii doesn't need to hold the belt, but the crowd did love it when he won, and he's just the kind of guy that. He's kind of Eddie Kingston, you go out there, you have your signature match, you pop the crowd, you go home.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I could also see him hold it to Forbidden Door because people love him.
I don't think they put that title on the line of Forbidden Door.
Well, I'm trying to make Forbidden Door make sense in my head, and it's very difficult these days.
That's forbidden from forbidden from logic.
That's true. That's true. The main event last year did involve no New Japan talent, so you make a great point.
There were people that were hoping that like AJ Styles would leave WWE and join
He's got to
AEW.
face Dom first, buddy.
He's got what?
He's got to face Dom Mysterio first, buddy.
I get it, man. Yeah, they were thinking if he left, it could be former Bullet Club versus AJ Styles versus Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. Which,
I thought you were saying like the Machine Gun and the Don Gallows with AJ. I was like, I've seen that enough.
There were people that were trying to manifest AJ Styles versus Will Ospreay for the main event at Forbidden Door, which would be a fantastic match, and possibly still does happen.
Can they act like Styles is representing New Japan until after Forbidden Door?
That's what I think that the idea would be.
All right, that works for me. I'm in.
Yeah. It's like coming in Bullet Club. I mean, you got Gallows and Anderson there too. Like, if there's a deal sweetener that AJ's got it made in WWE, right? Like, he has absolutely no reason to leave. He's going to join the Hall of Fame with the relationship with TNA. Like, he's all set. If he wants to just keep wrestling, like legitimate, like work rate matches and hang out with his friends, go to AEW. If he wants to preserve his legacy and hang out with his friends outside of the ring, stay in WWE.
I think it works.
All right, we got the run back from the last couple of matches these two had. ELP and Konosuke Takeshita for the Never Openweight Championship. This was the first match made rundown between the two. The match at Dontaku was made after this match. As I mentioned earlier, ELP has a win over Takeshita from the G1 this past year. I don't think there's any stopping the Takeshita train. I think this is going to be a fantastic match and pretty high up on the card. I think Takeshita retains.
Yeah, he has to. I mean, he has to, right? Like, the reason you do the draw is because you don't want to beat Takeshita in the first place, to me.
Or put the title, a 15-minute title on him.
You don't want him to have double titles, but you also don't want him to lose. So, yeah, this is him retaining. And I hope they do the table spot where he does the they've been teasing the Blue Thunder Bomb through the table, and I think that's going to be terribly dangerous, and I need to see it. No offense to Phantasmo, who would be taking it.
Jeremy, or have you seen the Good Brothers lately? They're not good. Can't confirm. I agree with you.
Don't know what you're talking about. They haven't wrestled in forever.
I think the last time I saw them was on NXT
when their last match year. They had was in October on a dark match. The last time they were on a televised match was in September. So no, I haven't seen them lately. Thank you for asking.
All right, we got your bread and butter match here, my friend. We got Azumi versus Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné for the Strong Women's Championship three-way match. I would have preferred a singles match between
me too, man.
Azumi and Mercedes, or Mina and Mercedes, preferably Azumi since they had already done the Mina match, but we're not getting that. That's totally fine. I think this is a match to have a match with two very talented Joshi wrestlers. But ultimately, I think this is not the time for Mercedes to be dropping a title in New Japan.
So I have confused myself because I don't understand why it couldn't have just been Mercedes versus Azumi. Like, they've done this to her twice now. They did it at Secure Genesis in 2023, where it was originally those two, and then they just put Hazuki in there. And it kind of happened again here. Like, Azumi was the one that was like, I want to challenge for the title. And then they were like, here's a number one contenders match between you and Mina. It's like, all right. And now they're doing it again. I don't really get it. So I have used this as a way in my head because I think Mercedes Moné is winning the Owen. I'm going to just say that now. And I think that means she's winning the world title. I'm just going to break all the people that hate Mercedes Moné, you're going to hate her even more.
Win or lose the Owen, like with that match coming up, like the momentum of her losing a match on New Japan completely undercuts all of that.
Exactly. So if there was ever a time to get this damn belt off of her before she's literally unbeatable, it would be no.
So you have Azumi beat Mina?
Yeah, I mean, the problem for Azumi is she's not the AEW talent here, so it doesn't equal good luck for her. I could see Mina win, right? Mina's people love Mina. She's very popular.
Sure, but this is like New Japan booking, so I kind of look at it like that. And Mina's
sure
more AEW. So if they were going to put it on anybody,
yeah, but Mercedes is too.
I hear you.
So like I would like Azumi to win. It'd be cool for her. Give her.
I would lean Azumi over Mina at this point.
That's who I'm going to pick. But again, there is something about AEW wins no matter what that is in my head. I mean, come on, it's part of the situation here. But right. I think Azumi winning because she wants to do America and Japan at the same time works very well. Gives her an outlet to keep coming back and doing these shows, and she's obviously gaining some traction here in America as well. But at the same time, if Mercedes Moné wins, no one bats an eye, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we knew that was going to happen." So we'll see. But I question why there's not a singles match here, and I feel like maybe it's because maybe New Japan wants their belt.
Entirely possible. Did you catch the match at Windy City between the two?
I did, and it frustrated me that it went to a double count.
That's what I was saying. Okay, I think you were on the same page here, but you put the most traditional Stardom match you could possibly do in the middle of a New Japan card. You give two talented singles wrestlers the opportunity, and the winner gets a title shot. And then what do? You have neither one of them win, and you give what's essentially audience blue balls on the entire promotion in the idea that neither one of them are good enough to win this match. And then you're going to put them both in a title. It was
with Mercedes.
It was just, it felt like booking malpractice against Stardom in order to get to a destination without really thinking about what the audience would like in terms of being introduced in a singles one-on-one Stardom match in the middle of a New Japan show. How else could you have a gateway match other than this? And you just squandered it. And that was what frustrated me more than anything else.
The match that made people pay attention to Azumi last year was the one-on-one match with Stephanie Vaquer.
Logan James says Azumi pinned on Mina Shirakawa or Mina Shirakawa pinned on Azumi. I'm going to say Azumi pinned on Mina Shirakawa.
Yeah, Azumi via her roll-up, which is Azumi Sushi, she calls it. So I think that's what we get. But again, if Mercedes wins, then LOL.
Colin Matthew thinks that put another title on Mercedes.
See, there's a real reality where she has this title, the TBS title, the Rev Pro title, and the AEW World title. Why should I rule any of them out? Though the reason I think she loses this is because I think if she were to win the world title, she'd relinquish the TBS.
I don't know if she wins the world title.
I think they do that match. I think they're doing that match at All In.
You think I'm thinking you might be able to get two matches if Athena screws Mercedes in that match and they do Athena and Mercedes at All In, and then you do Tony and Jamie at All In.
I'm behind that, but Mercedes wins. Until Mercedes loses, Mercedes wins.
Absolutely.
Because she's undefeated. Do they want her first loss to be via getting screwed? Is my question.
Yeah, like Athena.
I understand that.
But until you see it, you don't believe it's happening.
Right. I understand like the whole thing this week of she doesn't have creative control, blah 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 blah. She's still Mercedes Moné.
I don't about any of that. No. I think it's a big show, and the most I agree would be on there.
But that's why that story. That's why that story happened, is because they wanted to make a big deal of like, oh, well, she's never losing. Does that mean she has? No, it's just she's the biggest star in the division, and they're pushing her that way. So I don't know.
You have a collision course of the two biggest stars in the women's division,
right?
And then they meet.
That's the thing with All In. It's like that's the biggest show of the year. When would you want to do Mercedes versus Tony?
The thing about it is, I think that there's a little bit too much Megan Bayne in the mix for it to be clear cut.
Oh, it's very confusing. Don't get me wrong. I haven't watched AEW in 2 weeks, but I know what they're doing. Like I'm see highlights.
You're able to pull up the chalkboard and be able to draw the line from.
Yeah, I can draw the lines, and the lines are like everyone facing Tony right now, and it's like interesting. But hey, I still think she should lose the belt here. I think it would be good for Azumi to have something to keep coming back and forth. And it would be good for New Japan to put it on a Stardom wrestler because, they messed it up last time we did this match. Why not at least give one of them the belt? But we'll see.
We're running a little long. We're gonna finish up this show and then do brief thoughts on the best of the Super Juniors. I'm gonna get your ideas on what you think and all that. But we're gonna move on to the next match here. We got the main event. We got Hiroki Goto. We got Zack Sabre Jr. We got a rematch from the match that Hiroki Goto won the world title from Zack Sabre Jr. from. Last year at Windy City, the title was changed in the United States. I personally don't see the title changing again in the United States this year. Does not seem like the best idea and the best market for that to happen. However, this should be a work rate and style fantastic match. I expect a lot of the callback to the New Beginnings in Osaka match. And frankly, I'm not sure the audience is going to truly appreciate this main event here in Ontario, California. Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't. I think my main thing is this is not going to be very relatively at all close to the last one they had because, like you said, I don't think the full appreciation will be there in Ontario as my phone smashes. But it'll be a great match. You know that. Like I don't think these two can have anything besides a great match.
Yeah. It's a great match to close out the show. I don't expect this to be a 4-hour show, probably 2.5 hours, 3 hours at best. We really only have like 8 matches. And, the main events on these shows and the semi-mains typically go about 20, 25 minutes each. So if you take in the first, 6 matches going about 2 hours, we're clocking in about 2.5 hour, 3 hour show, which seems about right for this. And then we'll be going into the best of the Super Juniors over in Japan, which starts on the 10th. And Scott, we went through it last week, and we kind of basically talked about the A block, which is Kushida, Master Wato, Ninja Mac, Hiromu Takahashi, Kosei Fujita, Francisco Akira, Clark Connors, Robbie X, who is the replacement for Bushi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Dragon Dia. If you had to pick 3 people out of the possible 2 that would make it to the next round, who would you have move forward?
Kosei Fujita, no matter what. That has been my whole mindset going into this. I'll also pick Akira and Hiromu.
There's a part of me that thinks that Clark Connors and Master Wato had a shot, but now that Master Wato has the tag titles, he's pretty much one of those guys that, and then Clark Connors with the recent babyface turn, I think there is a couple of guys circled for big things and big wins and tournaments and titles upcoming, but I'm not necessarily sure that Clark Connors is that guy. I'll agree with you. Francisco Akira, Hiromu Takahashi, and Kosei Fujita. If you had to eliminate one from those 3, who would it be?
I'd eliminate Hiromu. I want new blood in there. And those two
all
deserve
fresh,
it.
right?
Those 2 really deserve it. They like these 2 I'd pick to really give the big time push to, at least from this block.
If you had to look at this list of 10, would you say there's a weak link? And if so, who would it be?
I feel like I'm going to be mean by saying this.
I'm going to say Kanemaru.
No, I like so I'm just like old fashioned for Kanemaru, but he probably is the he's
the night off guy.
Yeah, he is. So that's not going to help. Yeah. While like the likes of a Robbie X or Ninja Mac are obviously going to try to go all out because it's their big opportunity. Kanemaru will be that guy. I know Dragon Dia got hurt recently, so I don't even know if he's going to compete. But he got hurt Monday in Dragon Gate.
What did he do?
Yeah. I think they said they hurt his shoulder. Maybe he was in a steel cage match. So
he might end up not being there though.
So we'll see.
The other one that I kind of want to see in this bracket that I hope is really able to go all out, but got kind of a couple of mileage on him is Kushida.
Yeah, I love Kushida. I mean, Kushida wasn't in the tournament last year, got added in, and had one of the best tournaments out of anyone.
Yeah. Kind of showed that he still had it and called back to a lot of called back to a lot of matches in the past. So not trying to be mean, but also giving an expectation of people of who are going to have the best matches and to temper your expectations on some of these other guys. So kind of where we're at on that. And then we got the B block. We got El Desperado, current champion. We got Ryosuke Taguchi. We got Yo. We got Kevin Knight. We got Titan. We got Robbie Eagles. We got Taiji Shimori. We got Sho. We got Nick Wayne. And we got Mao. We got both of the AEW guys. We got a DDT guy. Yeah, there's a CMLL with Titan. So, you know, El Desperado, the champion, is in there with the exchange students, if you will. So, if you had to pick 3 guys in this bracket, who do you got?
This one's a lot tougher. I really don't want Ishimori to move forward. You
like the Hiromu of this bracket?
Yes, big time. So since you're making me pick 3, I will pick Desperado as one. He won't be one of my final 2, but he will be one because he's still Desperado. And I mean, looking at this field, it's like, how many times is he really gonna lose? I will always root for Titan. I love Titan. That is my guy. The last one, you know, I think back to when Speedball got to that final 2, the final 4 2 years ago. And I think to myself, would they want to do an outsider this time?
I think they would.
And maybe, I don't know if this is shocking.
If not, it's Nick Wayne.
Wow. Nick Wayne. What's his final night? That always matters to me.
I had that last week.
Does he have a big match? That will tell me between the outsiders who's probably what day is that?
No, I'm tracking what you're tracking on that one.
Mao versus Sho, Nick Wayne versus Titan. Oh boy. And Kevin Knight versus Taguchi. Yeah, okay. So yeah, probably
that is the formula for let's make a guy look good the entire tournament and then lose in the first round of the post block and everybody's fine.
Yeah.
You know, so the way that they booked Nick Wayne and the way that they booked Kevin Knight on AEW going into this tournament was night and day. You know, like they put a title on Nick Wayne. They make the title this focus. He's winning all these matches. Kevin Knight getting all this focus. And then the night on Dynamite last night, he gets his ass handed to him by Rouge for costing him the $100,000. And then he immediately goes into a ring with Kazuchika Okada, who isn't doing too much work, but he's definitely putting the boots to Kevin Knight. And then he's off to the best of Super. I would not be shocked if that is the selling point to Kevin Knight losing a couple of his first matches, even though, you know, they like to have those guys win the first match when they show up. But he's not a first timer in the tournament, you know?
Yeah, he's also technically still representing New Japan. So.
Yes. So he could easily lose, and then Nick Wayne can have that like AEW representative kind of thing. So I definitely think Nick Wayne is going to be one of the final 4.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if one of the intern or outsiders don't make it from this block just based on the block itself.
So Desperado, Nick Wayne, and did you say Titan?
Yes.
And if you had to take one of those out?
I'll take Despy out because he's a champ.
Okay, so we go Nick Wayne, Titan, and then who did we have on the last one? Kosei Fujita and Francisco Kira.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a shocking thing. I think both guys from A block should beat both guys from B block to go to the finals.
I agree.
And then you have Kosei Fujita and Francisco Kira in the finals.
Totally agree, and I am happy with either one winning.
Yeah.
I would pick Fujita, but I'm happy with either one winning.
We did it. Thank you for popping on an hour and 15 minutes ago. I hope everything went well for you in real life. In order to join me here today, your assistance has been unbelievable. I thank you as always, sir. Go ahead and plug your stuff, including your show that you got immediately after this.
Yeah, so 5-Star Joe's show. That is my weekly show each and every Friday. It's on either Fight Game Media Network feed, anywhere you get your podcasts, or my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling if you want the
Dropped a video earlier this week, didn't you?
Oh, I dropped many.
Many videos.
Oh, I dropped many last week. I think actually only one was this week.
That's what I was saying. You dropped one this week.
You're right. You're right. So, like, obviously, last week was a very busy week. All-Star Grand Queendom happened two Sundays ago, and then obviously Mayu Utani.
Show of the decade, I heard.
Yeah, it was a hell of a show. It was a hell of a show.
I literally, Stephen Conway on this show told me he thought it was the show of the decade.
It currently is 6th on Cage Match for shows all time.
That's pretty good.
So that's a big shock. Fantastic show. This week's episode talks more about the video I dropped this week, which was about Mayu Utani's week that she had, which included her All-Star Grand Queendom match, leaving Stardom, joining Marigold, her first Marigold match. Definitely check that out. But the normal episode will be out tomorrow everywhere you get your podcast and on YouTube. So definitely check that out because it's more Stardom, Marigold, and everything else in the world of Joshi.
And you can find all his information on X and Blue Sky. He is a one-stop fountain of Joshi information. If you need to find out results, if you need to find out when matches are happening, if you want interviews with Joshi talent in Japan, this is the feed to find it because he is your one-stop curation where you start. He's not the aggregator, guys. He's the guy making it happen. So don't forget to check out all of his stuff. Don't forget to check out our stuff. We have a Facebook page now. I barely know how to work this Facebook business page for Speaking Strong Style, but I post anything relevant to the show there. I also post it on my Twitter and Blue Sky that you can find, Jared Finestone. And, you know, we don't do a whole lot of advertisement. We rely on word of mouth. We rely on people, you know, talking the good gospel about this show. So, you know, if you get a chance, tell a friend. Tell somebody on Reddit, whatever. I really appreciate it. Scott really appreciates when you talk about his stuff on Reddit and other places when it's not toxic, when it's not weird, you know, because it can be weird online sometimes. Because we like to stick away from the weird. This is a normal show for an hour and 45 minutes, so we like to keep it that way. All right, so for myself, Jeremy Finestone, for Scott E. Wrestling, this has been Speaking of Strong Style. We will see you again real soon.